asked the same question to Jeff Bezos in 2003 and said, like you just had an 80% loss in Amazon. Do you ever wish you sold Amazon in the year 2001?
Yeah. I
Jeff
I take your
Bezos
point.
could have sold Amazon in the year 2000 and avoided a 95% loss.
Hmm.
Do you wish he
That's
did?
true.
But you see how foolish that is, right? For example, Mark
mm,
Zuckerberg, could have also sold Facebook, just before or just after the IPO and avoided a 50% loss.
uh-huh.
And, in fact, Jeff Bezos could have sold Amazon 5 different times and avoided an 80% loss. And if he'd sold at any one of those 5 times, he wouldn't be one of the richest people in the world. So I think that that trying to time the market is a trader mentality. But if you look at all the richest people in the world, they're not traders. I mean, Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, right? I mean, Larry Page, name the person that traded their way to that situation. You can't really do it. Like trying to time the market is ridiculous. If you look at statistical analysis of Bitcoin or the S&P, I think the conclusion generally is that like 80% of your returns come in like 1% of the days.
Yeah.
So if you miss the top 3 days of a year, you might lose 80% of your return. If you miss the top 6 days, you lose it all.
Yeah.
So the way this is going to work is it's going to look like you're not making a lot of money 98% of the time. And then you're going to wake up one day and you're going to find out that the sovereign wealth fund of some Middle Eastern country just bought $10 billion of Bitcoin. It's going to double or it's going to triple. And then you're going to be kicking yourself and screaming, saying, oh, well, I could have bought it at blank and I didn't buy it at blank. And you'll be angry. I think that the trading mentality is just really an awful mentality for anyone that, if you're not running proprietary algorithms on high-speed computers, like I get it if you're a high-speed computer trader and you're like slicing a tenth of a penny 1 billion times an hour. Like I get that kind of trading, but for 98% of the population, people don't have any proprietary edge to trade. And so generally they all get beat by the market trading. People want to invest in something that they understand, that they can trust. So if you're going to be a theme park company, that's what you should do. If you're going to be a movie company, if you're going to be an oil company, you should be a pure play and you should focus, in a laser-like way on that, because that allows a rational investor to put you in their portfolio. For example, like maybe you hate Bitcoin. If MicroStrategy has a strategy, which is we're long Bitcoin, we're levered long Bitcoin, well, then that's good, right? Because now you can short us. It's not a bad thing for people to short your stock, because if they short your stock, eventually they're going to have to cover, right there. On the other hand, maybe they like Bitcoin, but they think it's 99% likely to fail. Think about it. You have $100 million, so you put 1% of your portfolio in it, and you want to find someone that actually is pure long Bitcoin, you see? So if we're transparent and predictable, then we allow a rational investor to allocate their portfolio rationally. And they just don't want us to be unpredictable. What happens if we become unpredictable? If I'm predictable, you might meet with me, understand what I'm going to do, and say, I wanted to put 5% of my portfolio into Bitcoin, and you might actually invest $5 million after a 1-hour meeting, right? But if you met with me and I said, I'm a genius and I can trade everything and I know when to sell and I know when to buy and I'm going to time the market and I have all these algorithms, you're like, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but 95% of the time, those things don't work. And the point is, I have just, if you're the investor, you want to hedge the risk. You don't want the management team to hedge the risk. I'm a black box. So after you meet with someone that says they've got some wacky, complicated trading algorithm, instead of actually investing $5 million, you invest zero and you study it for 500 hours. And so let me put it a different way. You could probably raise $1 billion in one day if you're predictable, even from people that don't even like Bitcoin. Whereas if you're unpredictable, you could work for 1,000 days and raise nothing. The world wants certainty, it wants clarity, it wants conviction, and it wants you to execute with focus. So it happens that we believe in Bitcoin. But there are plenty of people that trade our stock. You could buy our stock and go long our stock and short Bitcoin, you see? This crash is going to cause a lot of clarity to form there. First, the community is getting educated, right? I bet you everybody in the crypto community today knows the difference between a dollar in the bank and UST. Mm-hmm. And I bet you they have an intelligent conversation about the difference between Circle and UST and the business model of the two. And mm-hmm. we saw last week, Tether had to redeem billions and billions of dollars of Tether. And they could, right? Mm-hmm. So they could. But if you'd actually tried to redeem $7 billion of UST in a couple of days, well, people tried to do that and they couldn't. So I think the industry got educated, but also I think that there's a lot of people that would like to issue stable coins, like Caitlin Long's bank would like to issue stable coins. And if you look at the banks like Silvergate and Signature, they're FDIC insured banks, but they can't issue stable coins. So, and if you look at JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, they can't issue stable coin. Now, if you roll the clock back 6 months, the president's working group put out a memo on stable coins. And when they put out the memo, they said, we'd like for FDIC institutions to issue stable coin. Now, putting aside whether you agree with that or not, there's been a regulatory deadlock on Capitol Hill. I think that most regulation is going to create turmoil for the 19,500 cryptos. There's going to be a shakeout. So regulation generally is good for Bitcoin, and it's difficult for the rest of the cryptos, right? They're on the opposite side.